Hello, I'm Gregory J. Baker, and this is Stephen A. Jakes, and we're both co-founders of the Reboot and Reboot Technologies. And today we're going to be doing a video, very short video, just explaining why we're here, how we do it, and what it is we actually do. We get asked a lot what it is that we do. I'll kick off. Basically, back in 2011 in November, my life wasn't working on any level. I was absolutely living a lie, and one day I woke up and just realised that, and I realised that everything I hated my parents, I hated my brother, I hated my job. I hated my job. I didn't like anything that I was doing. In every area of my life, the only thing that was keeping me going was my social life, and I literally had what Steve calls his personal 9/11. I had mine, and then I had a realisation and epiphany shortly after that. I worked out why I was here and how I do that. That epiphany then grew to something where I realised I had a gift that I could do that for other people. That has grown and grown and grown until we've now got the incarnation of the business called Reboot, which Steve now works with me on and helps deliver all the courses. Stephen, what brought you to? Why do you do Reboot? Or why are you here?
Great question, and it's something I want to share with the listeners, viewers, and the like. So I was in a very similar situation to you. My life had reached a point where, I was fortunate to come from a good family, but through my whole of my journey, I was literally learning more tools, bad behaviours, bad beliefs, and the like. And that really happened because it gave me such a disconnect from living the life that I was actually living and living the true me. So what happened was that I literally had a 9/11, and I wasn't really being the true version of myself, and it was causing me all sorts of problems. I was unhappy in a relationship. I'd been betrayed over and over again by business partners, by my relationships. Even myself, I was constantly living a lie. I was constantly convincing myself that one day I was going to wake up and it was all going to change and everything was going to be great, and and somehow some magic intervention from God was going to come in and just change all my life. And what I realised was it was me. It was the way I was being, the way I was behaving, my whole beliefs, and how I was actually living my day-to-day life was actually nothing like the real true me. It was all fake. It was like a fake learnt version.
But it was learnt over a long period of time.
Over a long period of time, yeah.
You become more and more fake, more and more not you.
But that fake me was the normal me. And I had to have a realisation that normal me, or the fake learnt me, all the stuff, the tools, the TV, all the things that I'd learnt off the television, off of like my friends, off of education, my parents, role models, movie stars, or whatever
and
it was.
What was expected of you?
What was it? Living other people's expectations of me. Basically meant that I was actually living a fake version of me, which was actually normal, and so it wasn't working for me in any way, shape or form. And so, you said it, I had my 9/11, and it was at that point when I realised that I'd been betrayed by all my friends, all my business associates and colleagues, the people that I had, my relationships in terms of love, and literally I needed to literally press the reset button and realise that I'd been doing this all wrong. And what it allowed me to do was find a way of getting back in touch with my true, real, authentic self and start living the life that I was meant to live, being the real me and not the fake me.
And then in a bizarre set of circumstances, you came to see me, and then I showed you that you were living from a conscious part of your brain, not the real you.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between them.
Absolutely.
And then when you did the program, now you're working with me, and you've rebooted yourself. You've got a whole new circle of friends. You started getting on with your parents.
Yeah, everything's changed.
Everything's changed.
Yeah,
so that's the
fantastic.
And we call that transformation.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
it's serious life change.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'd like to say. My life changed seriously from a life that wasn't working for me, that was causing me unhappiness, stress, depression, anxiety, fear. I was demotivated. I was delusional, and I went from living a life like that to living a fulfilled life now, and that's real serious life change. Yeah.
So that's great. Thank you, Steve. And so now that brings us perfectly onto how do we do that. Well, it's actually, whilst it's simple, it's difficult, but it is simple. It's very simple. What we do two things. We help you change your fundamental beliefs that don't work for you. So basically, you'll have built up a layer and layer and layer, and loads of beliefs that just simply don't serve you. But a belief is what you hold to be true. So you'll sit there and you'll be arguing all day long the tooth. This is the way it is. This is the way my mum is. This is the way dad is. This is the way life is. This is the way it is. But actually, you've just made that up. But you might find that hard to hear right now. So what the first thing we do is we help you change your beliefs from ones that don't work for you to ones that do work for you. Once you've changed those beliefs, we then help you change your behaviours. So once those beliefs are changed, your behaviours will reflect the new beliefs. Because at the moment, what your beliefs are will be your behaviour. So if you don't believe you'll be successful in a job, you won't go for the job. If you don't believe your business will work, or you don't want to start a new business because it won't work, you won't start the new business and it will not work.
It's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's self-fulfilling prophecy. So what we do is we help you change those fundamental beliefs to ones that work for you, and they're not necessarily. They're not magic or anything, they're just ones that don't work for you to ones that work for you. And you will choose those new beliefs, not us. You choose those.
And they also aren't the beliefs that your friends and your families and other people's beliefs that you've adopted as your beliefs. They'll actually be beliefs that are actually core and fundamental to you.
So that's really powerful.
Yeah.
So I'm looking down there because I swear on notes. The second thing is the behaviours from that will then change. So there's those two things. That's how we do it. That now brings us on simply to what it is that we do, and we do three very simple things. The first is what we call the Reboot Insights, which is a really insightful webinar. We do it also as a seminar as well. We can do this either privately or in a group. Anything private costs, but the first stage, which if you do in a group, there is no charge. So the Insights webinar, there's three key things to an Insights webinar. First of all, there's what we call rules of the game. There's a couple of very powerful distinctions that we do in there, which is regarding to responsibility and listening. There's also one about participation and how most people don't actually participate fully, therefore they'll never ever get the result that they want.
And the other one, which is also about making excuses about how they're currently living their life and why they're not happy or why they're not successful or why they're not being, succeeding in life.
Absolutely. So there's two very powerful things, and we cover that in the first sort of 45 minutes of the webinar. It's really, really useful. We use that to set the context and so you get the most out of the webinar, but they're very useful tools. The webinar is whole and complete on its own. However, afterwards you can use those distinctions that you've learned. The second main part of it is we look at the 11 key areas in life which involve things like love and having fun. There are 9 others which we can share with you on the webinar, but there are 11 key things that are common to all of us. I've delivered this to well over 600 people now, and they all pretty much agree that there's these areas, and that if they had a magic wand they'll change them immediately. An example is fun. We could all of us could have more fun, and if you say you're having enough fun, you're probably not. I'd want to challenge anyone that says they are.
Well, fundamentally, when I actually done the course, believe it or not, for those who actually know me, we actually realised that I weren't really having any fun in my life and haven't done for years. And now that's a really difficult thing for me to accept. But when we actually visited it, I was literally having no fun. I was a robot doing autonomous things disguised as fun, thinking that's what my fun was the autonomous daily routines. That's what I classed as fun, and it's certainly not fun.
No, absolutely. So thanks for that. So that's the second part we cover, those 11 key areas. Then we look at what we call the 7-layer 7 well balance model, and we look at things like family and relationships, and then we look at physical and mental, we look at spiritual aspect, we look at social and hobbies, we look at your career, finance and general personal development. And under those different 7 categories, we then look at context, what we call dissatisfactions or emotional cancers. Now these are really, really powerful. So I don't know if you know the iceberg model, where you've got a small part of the iceberg is above the sea, but what you really can't see is underneath. That's what we have with dissatisfactions. And one key distinction that we do in the program is we help you understand that there's so many things that you make okay that aren't okay. And what we do is we start in the webinar to uncover those, okay? Probably stop there from that point of view and then go on to the next stage, which is live. Whilst the webinar is whole and complete on its own, the live is a whole day. So this is where you get to meet us in person. We'll work with you from about 9:30 till about 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's a workshop style, so you're proper interacting. But everything that you've done in the webinar, we go into much more depth. So we start looking at your relationships, we start looking at love, we start looking at fun, we start investigating your life on a much more holistic
perspective and actually get you to investigate each area of your life in more detail to see fundamentally where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are and how they can be improved or what needs to be modified
or what's
and
missing,
changed.
or what's missing.
What's
Absolutely.
missing. Yeah, absolutely.
But we also then go on to start looking at what the dissatisfactions in a greater, and what you then get to see is that there's many things that you're dissatisfied with you just make okay. And we do this and we can plod along with it, but really deep down we're getting to the point where we survive. A lot of people, you may have heard this before, this phrase, but there's many people that have said this phrase before and still do, and that's people they die at 40 but buried at 70. And I felt that. I felt like I died retrospectively. I felt like I wasn't living. I was just existing. I was living. I was getting up and doing things automatically on a day-to-day basis.
It's the program. It's the social construct, the social program, the education, what we're parents, how everyone's perceived to expect to live life.
Absolutely. So absolutely, and we get into that, and we get set, and we think we're living. We're not. We're not doing what we really want to do. And then we go into that in much more depth. So and we go through each of the things, go through rules of the game like we did in the webinar. We go through the 11 key areas, but much deeper. It's about 4.5 hour conversation, and you get to, by that time, you get to just feel free. You're in a safe space, and you can actually start to delve and dream a little bit. And I don't mean dream like I want a massive yacht or anything or be an astronaut, but dream that's realistic for you. Possibility of actually reliving it again.
And the other thing as well is at the end of this you'll find it's very, very cathartic, because I know that at the end of day at the second one that I felt like I had like 80% of my world's problems and life's problems removed from me. At that stage I felt so free, and it actually gave me the space in my own mind to realise that possibilities is actually really a possibility.
Yes. So we help you create possibilities, and what they are is they're possibilities for you. They're not just random things that we're forcing on you. They're possibilities that are in you that we just help you get access to.
Yes.
So that's a really powerful distinction, and that brings us neatly onto the program. Now we're going to use the word transformation now, and I'm going to explain. So at the other end of the program, you become transformed, or your transformation starts, if you like. So I want you to imagine what we mean by transformation. Is Steve just talked about serious change. This is serious change. You will look at the world differently from every aspect.
You'll be different, you'll behave different, you'll feel different.
Yes, it's a proper reboot, hence the name.
Yes.
Really, we do live up to the name, right? It says what it says on the. We do what it says on the can. Now, the word transformation, what we mean by it is two things. One, you're unrecognisable in your own mind from your former self. So we almost help you disconnect from all the things, or most of the things that really don't work for you. And what's left is a space for you to create things that do. So does that make? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
It creates the space. So it's not like we replace it with anything. We help you get rid of the stuff that doesn't work. Leaves you with a nice space that you can then fill up with new stuff.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that I'm going to talk about. The second way to describe transformations, I want you to imagine, if you look at any baby that's born, they're beautiful, they're pure, they're not racist, they're not discriminatory in any way. You don't see angry babies. You don't see hateful babies. They're just beautiful, lovely, pooing, sleeping, puking, eating, beautiful loveliness, right? And then when they start smiling, they're beautiful things. They learn all that nasty things. You were a baby once, I was. So I want you to imagine that we're born a butterfly, and what happens is we learn and we adopt to behave like the caterpillar, right? What we do is we transform you back into that original butterfly. It's a beautiful analogy that I used some years ago.
Well, you're liberated and free from all of the programmed hate, all the negative emotions that we learn in life, from hate, resentment, jealousy, resentfulness, despondency, fear, all of those. I mean, there's a whole bucket load of that we all experience. But these are all stuff that we learn in our everyday life, and what we do is we take you back to the point where you existed as an individual before you experienced any of those,
before you could even talk,
but bring that pureness and that clarity back into the present moment. So you're now living your life free, or nearly free of those constraints and free of those emotions, and that allows you to really, really start living your life from a different perspective of happiness, love, whatever it is you're looking for in your life.
And we can break that. Thanks, Steve. That's great. And to add to that is that we're going to break that. We break that down into 4/5 days. So there's kind of 6 steps to it. The first step is what we call rules of the game. So I've spoken about that in the previous 2 courses. But this is a real powerful day. It's life hacks, life philosophies, things that you won't have used or seen probably ever, but actually make a real difference. They're proven to make a difference, and they're really, really, really powerful distinctions. And a lot of people say that, you know, I've had, especially in the early days, people were saying that the price of the course was worth just the first day. Yeah. The second and third to fourth day is very uncomfortable. We won't lie, but this is where we visit all of your dissatisfactions.
These are your emotional cancers.
These are your emotional cancers, and you might think you've got two. It could be a partner, it could be your mum, it could be your dad, it could be your job, it could be your financial situation, whatever it is.
It could be your religion, it could be your beliefs, it could be where you go, your friends, it could be absolutely
anything. What will help you realise is that it's all of that times by about 100.
Yeah.
Right.
I had 2,000
something. Right?
Yeah.
So people come to us and go, no, it's just my partner, that's it. Then we'll help you uncover it's much more than you. And what it is when you get to the root of it, it's the reason that most of the time you can't solve the problem that you're trying to solve is because you're looking at the wrong part of the problem. What we do is we help you uncover and rediscover and we reveal and dig up all that other stuff you would never want to do normally. You're guided, you're in a safe place, it's very uncomfortable. Most people get ill or want to leave because it's so uncomfortable. But here's the great thing. After that, it feels like you've had some sort of cleansing. It's very cathartic. The word cathartic means emotional relief. Yeah. And so you feel I've had somebody, one of my clients is actually one of our clients from years ago, couldn't move their neck, and they couldn't move their neck for like 18 months or 20 months, I think it was. The next day afterwards, they were totally free because they were holding it. A lot of our physical issues.
And the other things as well, just to say, Greg, like all of these emotional cancers are the things that make us ill. So all of our chronic illnesses and all of our diseases and all of the pain and the suffering we have later on in life through bad health fundamentally come from suppressed emotions or emotional cancers that we've got that manifest themselves in a certain way into certain parts of our body. And by releasing them, you give yourself and your body the freedom now to heal and naturally, rather than actually adding to it.
Absolutely.
And that's really important for me because I know that my health in the last 3 months since doing the course has gone through. I mean, I just feel like a different person from a health point of view.
And your behaviours have changed to reflect that as well. You even look, I mean, I've known him, reconnected with him about 4 months ago, and you look about 3 or 4 years younger in that short space of time. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I've noticed it in his skin and things like that. So this is not an accident. So that's the second, the third and a half, fourth day. But then once you're in that position, that's quite cathartic. It's emotionally relieving and releasing. It's really powerful. Then after that, you're in a very interesting space, and it's then we get to the last part. Okay, so you watch 2 videos, both are TED Talks actually, but they're very, very, very powerful, and they relate to what happens next, which is we help you find why you're here and how you do that. So Steve talks about your blueprint. So when you're born, what we've observed and what we can prove with our program is that in your what we call your mid-limbic brain, there's a blueprint. It's where all your feelings are. There's no capacity for language. It's where you feel from, love, commitment, loyalty, and all that sort of stuff. So when you think something doesn't feel right, it's probably because it doesn't feel right. If it doesn't, that's simply because it doesn't feel right.
It's fundamentally where we make all of our decisions in life.
Yes, and this has been proven. If you could check out Simon Sinek, and they've realised that this part of the brain is where all our decisions and behaviours come from. What we do is we help you. So when you're born, you have this blueprint, which is why you're here. And in your blueprint, you normally have what's called an intention, an emotion, and then a goal. And what we do is we help you find out this intention, this emotion, and a goal. And it's very, very, very powerful, because when you know what that is, or why you're here and how you do it, and by the way, it's unique to everybody, and you're the measure. So when we do the program, it's you that goes, yeah, you've got it spot on. It's not us. We're not telling you why you're here or how you do it. What we're doing is we have a process.
We're exposing your unique gift that you've been given to when you've been born.
Best way of saying it is we expose it. We delve in. I want you to imagine you've got a little pamphlet built in you that you can't see.
I came here to do this.
Yeah, I came here to do this. And how I do that,
yeah.
And we give you that, and it's really, really liberating. It really, really is. That's why under our logo it says start living the life meant for you, because once we've rebooted you and you know why you're here, you can then start doing that. So we create this real space for you to start behaving in a way and creating new beliefs that work for you. And really it does change the trajectory from your life to be a slow decline to a slow incline, so it's manageable and it's acceptable. And there's many of us that have done the program that can support you.
And you know, if proof of the pudding is a 67-year-old man that done it, and his life's been restarted. So there is no age limit to this. This is all in your own belief. Whether you think that once you get to 40 or 50, that's it, life's life. You've done your bit, and you're going to put your feet up. That's not how it works.
We've got 4 or 5 people in their 60s that have done this, and it's started their life again in their 60s. We've got people in there. We've had a 9-year-old do this as well. So it's and we've had people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s do it. Our average age on a mean is like mid to late 40s, but don't let that put you off or invite you. Either way. So that's kind of in essence what it is. I hope that's helped you today. If you've got any more questions for us, please.
Well, you can find us on Facebook for starters. You can message us on our Facebook page, which is Reboot Your Life. You can also go to our Reboot YouTube channel, where you can watch our interviews which we've done with previous Reboot clients. And there's also, you can contact us through our website, and maybe contact Gregory or myself or Stephen at our own personal Facebook pages, and we'll answer any questions that you need.
Absolutely.
With regards to that.
So options are www.reboot.uno. There's also a quiz there if you want to do that, or you can go to the webinar registration page. There's also the other option is to go to what we call an open evening, and you can search that under Eventbrite. So if you look up Reboot under Eventbrite in Essex or Chelmsford, that will give you the details of the next event. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed watching this and learnt something. And
anything's possible for you guys, so don't sit there thinking it's not going to work for you, because there is a solution to whatever it is you're stuck with.
And the answer's within you, and we help you get the answers for you. And one last thing is, if you don't do anything, nothing will change. All right, thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.